Okay, so I'm gonna do this build in public thing. I think I'm gonna start a new company and I want to take you in the journey and I want to tell you a lot about it. I don't know how to structure this because I don't know where we're gonna go. Things are moving pretty quick, but I want you to come with me and I want to document this journey both for myself as well as for everybody else following. And if you're a doctor or a surgeon absolutely frustrated with your ePortfolio, then you can be really interested in what I'm trying to work on. If you don't know me, I'm Dr. Shubhendu Kulshreshtha, aka Shub. Everyone calls me Shub. I'm an emergency medicine registrar, an IMG from India, but also an executive coach to clinician founders. And I spend a lot of my time currently working with other founders, leveraging my background in innovation and improvement as an innovation improvement fellow in the NHS in the past, and just a lot of experience understanding leadership, understanding people, understanding processes for improvement and innovation. And now really getting deeper into the psychology of marketing and sales. And in 2026, been absolutely obsessed with how do I use AI to streamline things so that we can create faster, test faster, fail faster, and move forward. But I've never done anything like this before. In the past, I've started a lot of projects and had lots of ideas in my back pocket. One was reasonably patentable, and I decided to make it open source because I couldn't deal with the paperwork and the money. And I've been behind ideas that have been stolen, like a 3D printed prosthesis lab. And I'm just happy that it exists and is helping patients. But this is something different. And I've been spending the last 4 or 5 days now. So today is the 15th of March. It's Sunday. And I want to walk you through what's been happening. What's the timeline been like behind this project that I'm calling Ask Portia. That kind of derives from Port for portfolio. Um, and we're going to introduce AI into it. So kind of a play on words to call it Ask Portia. So that you don't have to dig through your portfolio and struggle to find information. You can just ask Portia, am I ready for my ARCP? How many ESLIs do I need? What does my MSF feedback look like in comparison to the last 4 years? Compared to the last 4 years, what should my PDPs be this for this year? And I want to become a surgeon or I want to do USMLE. How can I leverage the amount of data in my portfolio to help me actually be trained? And so the idea is that Portia kind of becomes your portfolio, kind of becomes like your portfolio genius in a way. And she can convert data to insights uh, and give you some tips and trends on information. So that's kind of where this idea began. I mean, that's probably not where it began. This is where it is now. But the frustration with portfolios was always this. And when, a couple of years ago, ChatGPT came about and we're all trying to, I don't know if you've been doing this, but I've been taking my MSFs and putting it into ChatGPT and saying, what are the common themes? What are the words that people keep using about me? What are the repetitive things? How can I perceive it? If I'm trying to achieve this version of a reputationality, a personal brand at work, then how do I translate that from my MSF data, from my FEGS data? Look at my last 5 DOPs. What are my reflections telling me that I need to focus on next? Is something that I was already doing. And from what I hear, about 40 to 60% of trainees are already using Claude or ChatGPT to kind of chat with their portfolio. So I knew that there's got to be a way to kind of optimize things. And so last year, almost about a year ago in 2025, I met someone working on something really interesting. And I'm going to tell you a bit more about him after I've got a couple of meetings in with him tomorrow. And essentially, he was working on a new version of Portfolio assisted by AI. And that was fantastic. I took my perception to him, and it wasn't called Ask Portia at the time. I said to him, "Look, we don't need a new portfolio. The whole process of getting a new portfolio in place, going through all the regulations, the number of people you're going to upset in terms of like creating change, getting everybody used to a new thing. And as an EM trainee, I've been through 3 versions of portfolio. We went from NHS ePortfolio to Kaizen to Riser, which is now on version 2025 update. And it's just an absolute mess. I'm sorry, Riser guys, but it really is an absolute mess. And I know what that disruption can do to training, to trainers, to what it means for the college to try and manage progression and CCT and all of that stuff. So, the suggestion I had was, let's not disrupt whatever's already in place. Let's work alongside it, work along with it. And so that was kind of the idea that I'm now calling Ask Portia, because we're now in 2026 and it is officially the era of agentic AI. And I don't know about you, but I'm absolutely surrounded by this space. We're no longer using AI to do a Google search is long gone. I am now using AI to plan my entire weekends, book my tickets, and make reservations. I am using it to conduct deep research, bring it across and create PowerPoint presentations, do workshops for me. It is creating a lot of stuff on the go. And agentic AI is literally where we are right now. And the further we get into this AI journey, the more archaic our portfolios are looking. So what happened now? Like, why now? If I've been thinking about this for a year and like I've been sitting on it for a year, why now? Why did I want to suddenly do this? So what's recently happened in like the last 4 weeks or so is that there was a GP trainee who was doing night shifts with me, and we had a couple of good interactions. So I said, send me the ticket, which should be pretty straightforward. And about 3 days later, he did send me the ticket, and I tried to sign in. I tried to fill the ticket, but I went from login to like the authenticator, back to the login twice, and then only to be told that like doesn't match. Like the email address that I had and the one I've logged in was not the same. So I said, okay, can you send it to a different email address? And lo and behold, we went through the entire process only for it to say that, nope, it's not the same email address again. Right. And now at this point, it's been like 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, he's gotten in contact with his portfolio team, and he has been given a large PDF document that he's got to read through and figure out how to add me and manually send me the ticket and all of that just to get a sign off. And he's like, I'm waiting on so many other consultants to do this. Obviously, consultants, they've got no time to try and do this. I work 50%. So yeah, I care about this stuff. So I said, let's go figure out what we can do. And so I tried to tell him what the problem was so someone could try and solve it. But clearly the portfolio team just put the problem back on him. And now he's stuck waiting for a lot of assessments. ARCP is coming up in a couple of months, and it's pretty shit. And so last Thursday, so today is the 15th, and so we're looking at what day was it? It was the 12th. So yeah, on the 12th we were on shift again. So on the 12th at 4 p.m. we met in the changing room, and I said, any progress with the portfolio thing? And he said, yeah, they've given me this PDF and blah blah blah. And I said to him, we should just invent our own portfolio at this point. And then he kind of started telling me like, oh, I know this person doing this thing and I know that person doing that thing. And I was really interested because I love working with founders. And that's kind of my world. I do a clinician founder podcast and a clinician founder newsletter. And clinician founders, everything is like something I'm obsessed with. So anyway, I walk out of that changing room and I'm just like, oh, this idea has been like sitting on me since like way before 2025. I'm like, this has to be a space that has to be disrupted. The idea came together, and it just has to happen now, right? So what did I do? I said, the biggest hesitation is like, I don't have the time to take on everything. I'm already coaching a bunch of founders. I run a group program. I'm still in training. So there's lots happening. So what I did was I went to LinkedIn and I put out a post saying, I'm looking for a co-founder. Yeah. So literally before the shift began, I put out this post, looking for a co-founder. Are you someone keen to improve surgical and medical training, like AI and all things efficiency, ready to catch up our portfolios to the 21st century finally, or know someone who does? I'm looking for a co-founder because I think one of the biggest challenge, tech build is no longer the biggest challenge. I think one of the biggest challenges going to be adoption and getting regulations passed that allow this to be successful. We're going to have to go head to head with behemoths of Royal Colleges and existing portfolios, or so was my thought at that time. So I said, let me buddy up and like in the next 3 or 4 hours, by the time I had my break in shift, this had like over 1,100 views, bunch of comments, loads of people messaging me, loads of people connecting with me. And, people, I've got E&T consultants showing their support, lots of people wanting to have a chat with me, lots wanting to be counted in, lots of them from different, you can see orthopedics, emergency medicine, people in the clinical AI space, lots of founders, lots of trainers, lots of trainees. So clearly, this thing has legs and lots of support and lots of reposts helping me get out there. And I've since had conversations and, can start to already see paths to a pilot. But I think I'm not going to do a pilot, and I will tell you about why in the coming few days. So that's what happened on the 12th at 4 p.m. And over the days, as I started to research more and more, and I started to look at what's the landscape looking like, what's changed, what's new, and what's different, I came across this new Data Use and Access Act from 2025. And they kind of wanted to make special categories of data that should be easily transferable. And it would kind of look like what happened with banking. So, how you can change from one bank to another, and you just have to put your request through, and the banks have to comply. They can't hold on to you anymore. It's kind of what the act is trying to do in superficial terms as well. And I'll try and make it video going more deeper into this. But to me, this kind of opened up the floodgates. I was like, wow, if this is the case, and if medical training data is one of those categories of data, then all trainees have to do is I would like to request my data to be transferred from here to there, and they should be able to communicate. So if I were to create Portia, then Portia would be able to communicate with existing portfolios. And I was like, okay, cool, really, really good time. What else has happened? There has been the NHS long-term plan, which kind of talks about using AI to reduce admin burden quite specifically. It doesn't say what kind of admin burden. It doesn't say what kind of AI to use, but it says very specifically that we want to leverage AI to reduce admin burden for staff working in the NHS. Another big improving point. And then we've recently had the prioritization bill, which prioritizes people with ILR and British citizenship to get into training. And that's kind of just to suggest that we're on the backdrop of huge amounts of saturation and competition within medical careers, and doctors trying to do their level best, trying to get ahead, trying to become good doctors, good surgeons, get to their dream jobs, whether in medicine or even in industry. And so all of these three things kind of, for me, seem to be triangulating to a place where portfolios have a really vital role. We need to use AI to improve them, and data transferability is something that's coming up. So this was also 2025, and this is been 2026. So what else has happened in the last 4 days? So the first thing I did was to think about, like, okay, if we have Ask Portia, what are all of the problems that Portia could solve for us? And there's everything from ARCP to insights to helping me get an industry job, to what should my PDP be, how many ESLIs do I have left, how many left, what is the meaning of the data in my portfolio, etc., etc., and lots of items. And what I really wanted to do was take the approach of a narrow wedge to start off with. And lo and behold, I got an email telling us that our ARCPs are coming up. So I said, okay, this is a really cool little place where we can start to prove the concepts, get in front of people, and see if this works. So in the last couple of days, what I've been building is a little bit of an MVP for your ARCP. The idea being that if you can feed it your portfolio and your checklist, your ARCP checklist, you can get out a dashboard or a report which tells you where you stand for your ARCP. Like, what have you got already sorted? What else do you need? And you would think that we do this every year, and portfolios are designed to help us do this, but it is so frustratingly difficult that if there was simply a dashboard or a report that said, you got to do this, go and tick the boxes. I think that would be valuable for me, like even if for nobody else, for me. And if you're watching this and you think it would be valuable for you, please do let me know. So with the powers of vibe coding and AI and anti-gravity, that's pretty much ready. And in the coming few days, I'm going to share that with everybody, and I want this to be useful. So we're starting off first in emergency medicine for the moment, but then once we've proven it, I want to spread it out to all specialties. Um, and I think this is obviously like, I'm here sharing this with the world so that you give me feedback, you tell me what's good, what you want, what's not so good. But if I'm getting ahead of myself, which I clearly am, then the route I want to take is, we're doing ARCPs for EM. We'll do it for all specialties. The next thing you want to be able to do is, upload the PDF of your portfolio, because every portfolio service allows you to export the whole thing as a PDF, and then you get an interactive dashboard out of it. So you can see as you progress, things keep moving, and then you have the AI in there that you can question and you can have a chat with about your own progress and training. Where I want to get to is to be able to use API integrations with Portia, so that there's actually back and forth information. So not only can Portia query information and tell you what your dashboard looks like, but I want it to be able to capture information and organize it for you as well. So if you were to share a reflection, if you would have a voice chat with it, if you had a PDP, or if you were preparing for an educational supervisor meeting, it could gather all of those things, suggest what the right tags should be. What I don't want it to do is, I don't want it to be generative. I don't want it to create your reflections for you. I don't want it to, you know, hallucinate and make up stuff, because that is not what our portfolios are about. That's the bit that we as doctors need to do, and that's what the training component is. What it needs to take care of is everything else as a relation of that, and then the ability to kind of bring that back to you and say, hey, here's how everything you said in the past is useful to you now and what you should do next. um, Very much kind of hitting the tingly, nice bits of executive coaching in my brain as well. Um, what else has happened? So I've been thinking about like company structure. I've been thinking about like who are the people that are going to be necessary, and I think this is hugely going to be leveraged by the right people in the room. And I've got trainers supporting me already, and I've got trainees supporting me as well. And I want to make this something valuable for both of them. And if you're a trainer or a trainee watching this and you want to get involved, reach out to me. I want to stay in touch. I want to build this with you, right? There's going to be strategy. Obviously, there's going to be the tech, and there's going to be perhaps some legal if we want to make that act work for us. Hopefully, we might get around without too much of the dirty, quote unquote, dirty legal action sort of stuff, which gives me the ick. But yeah, that's what I've been thinking of on a high level. And then I've really been thinking about like, how do I get this out there? Because the biggest challenge in any business for any founder, the biggest challenge is building demand, right? And so I've been thinking about like, what platform do I use? Obviously I'm doing this video, long form videos, king. So YouTube is obviously in there. But the other platform, I was thinking like, should I do Instagram? And there's LinkedIn, but LinkedIn is now like always repurposing of all of this stuff. So that should be fine. So I'm going to get rid of LinkedIn, and we're doing Instagram already. And it's part of the reason why I've hopped on and I'm saying, I'm going to build in public. That's what's going to happen. I'm not so sure about Instagram. Tell me what you think about Instagram. Should I be creating reels and stuff for Instagram and showing up? And I think the content is obviously going to be me building in public, but also it's going to be about, tips and tricks for your stuff. It's going to be, how do you use AI for your career growth? It's going to be, what are the trends across medical and non-medical careers that you need to think about? And over the last year and a half, 2 years, I've been building a really large presence on LinkedIn, and I'm so glad to be connected to some amazing founders whom I'm looking to kind of collaborate with and get mutual support from. Tell me, what would you like to hear about next? what can we do to really make this successful? Because I want to take this straight to trainees as the first thing. I want you to be benefiting from it. And I want this to get to a point where, colleges have to say that, like, we need this. We want this to be successful. And so I want you to be a part of this. Um, right off the bat, it's not going to be a free product. That's just not how it can work. I'm not being backed by anybody. And if we're going to do this, if I'm going to take this on as a solopreneur, or as a co-founder, 2-person, 3-person team, we've got to do this. So thanks so much for watching so far. I had no idea what would come out of my mouth at this point. But I guess that's what building in public is all about. So yeah, stay tuned. I want to show you what I've built so far next in the next video. Um, Tell me what you like. Leave a comment. Thanks for your support. Appreciate it.